robbery. Hands in the sky if you got a dream. Learn nothing was blocking me. I was the problem, the only one stopping me. I didn't like it, I had to refocus. Now I'm devoted, I know where I'm going. Controlling emotions, I'm owning the moment. In order to get it, see, you gotta want it. If you make a living break, confessions over these 808s. Don't sleep on the key, better stay away. I mean, for heaven's sake, I'ma be the best. Came from the endless, lane walk games, bitch with the chest. Beating on my chest, trying to get my rest. Watch me while I flex. Every win is a blessing, and every L is a lesson. So when I run into rejection, I know it's only redirection. I see the blessings right beside me. The chances of quitting are likely. I do it like I'm in my Nikes. Don't make excuses, they never excite me. Quitting was never an option.
Welcome, race fans, to Hot Atlanta. This 1.5-mile D-shaped oval has produced amazing racing over the years with its high banks and old, worn-out surface, and we expect more of the same tonight in the online Speedway Racing League. Good evening, everyone. I'm Hunter Brittle alongside my good friend Elliot Henderson in the booth, ready to bring you all the action of the Find Love or Die Trying 200 here on Split Second Broadcasting. Elliot, with 2 races remaining in the season and a 20-point advantage for Cole Freilich, what level of aggression can we expect tonight from his championship foe, William Schmidt, on a hot, slick Legacy Atlanta?
Evidently a lot. He's laying down the gauntlet. Came out here on pole. Kendall Carpenter will start second. Last time we had a track similar to this would probably be Texas, Legacy Texas, earlier in the season, race 2, where Freilich started on pole, Carpenter started second, but Carpenter went on to lead the majority of laps and win the race. So a little bit similar to what Carpenter had last time. He'll start second, but to William Schmidt, as Freilich will line up 5th. But I think you got to watch these two sort it out at the beginning, and Freilich gets a chance to kind of sit back and make something happen and wait a little bit and see how aggressive the 20 wants to be towards Schmidt and how aggressive Schmidt wants to be towards Carpenter.
We've got a long race tonight and certainly a lot of time for some aggressive moves to be made. Let's go ahead and bring up the points as they run right now. Now, keep in mind, what you see on screen will be as they line up on the grid right now. Cole Freilich currently, with these starting positions, only has an 8-point advantage now over William Schmidt with their starting spots. That's how they'll roll off when they come across the start-finish line. So already William Schmidt throwing the gauntlet down, like you said, Elliot, and putting the pressure on Freilich, and he's got to. Only 2 races remaining. It's go time here as we get down towards the end of the season.
Yeah, and you can see just how big that swing is. It's 12 points currently. It was about 20 points coming into this race, and Carpenter doesn't gain a lot, about 56 points back. I think it was close to 62, so only a couple points gained on his end. So that win versus 5th and second versus 5th are 2 very different stories there. So we'll just have to see. I mean, you know, Schmidt has been in a really good spot in these races previously and hasn't really come out with the finish that I think he really wanted. And he's had to battle Freilich in a lot of these different events. So we'll just have to see how aggressive he is here and if he can get the job done. But you know Carpenter's going to be fast. You know Jack Painter's going to be fast. Stephen Gibson right there in 4th. Anyone in this top 5 can get it done. It's just going to come down to who has the willpower and who has the tires to make this work tonight here at Atlanta.
Well, speaking of not getting the finish that you want, Cole Freilich has yet to get a win this season. 8 top 5s. You saw the graphic there. 8 top 5s, at least 10 top 10s, and still has yet to claim a checkered flag in this season. It's all gone to the likes of Kendall Carpenter and William Schmidt there behind him, but the sheer consistency of Freilich has managed to keep him right up in there and leading this championship fight. So a very impressive performance from Freilich all season long. Just hoping he can finally close out that ever elusive checkered flag. Let's go through the field here. We'll take you through the starting lineup here. Like we mentioned, William Schmidt will line up on pole with Kendall Carpenter to his outside, 1st and 3rd in the standings.
Jack Painter, again, a driver that hasn't really had a lot of luck lately, going to line up 3rd, and hopefully he can make it through the first 2 laps this week. It's been a rough couple of ventures for him lately. Stephen Gibson will line up to his outside in 4th.
Cole Freilich rolls off from that 5th position there with all eyes forward towards his championship foe, and William Schmidt rolling off from 1st. And Bryden Lindauer rolls off from the 6th spot. Nice starting spot for Bryden tonight.
And Noah Carmichael roll off 7th with Mo Perry to his outside in 8th.
Nolan Sanford, another top 10 points driver, rolls off 9th with Harry Grindell, the token Brit, to his outside in 10th.
Justin Knutson will line up 11th with Jonah Malashek in 12th.
Chris Pervolarkis rolls off from the 13th spot with tonight's sponsor, John Daniels, there to his outside in 14th.
And Brian Kling will roll off 15th with Jackson Sims rolling off 16th.
Chad Stearns makes his return back to OSRL competition with Ruby Estes to his outside there. Also, 2 drivers there who kind of took a little bit of a break, but glad to have them back in the series.
And Gavin Newton rolls off 19th with Isaac Johnson in 20th.
Braden Movick, your Dover winner this season, rolls off from the 21st position with Emery Spence to his outside in 22nd.
And your non-qualifiers back here. The order may not be accurate, but we've got Alex Balderas, Tristan Baker, Cameron Hurt, Levi Wolf, Michael Deitch, and Frankie DeSarlo.
The field's lined up behind the pace car. Oh, we've got one more lap. My apologies in this one. So they'll head around for another time here. So we'll my apologies. Pace car dives onto pit road here. We're going green this time. William Schmidt has the field in his control. The green flag is out. We are racing in Atlanta.
And you can see that tire spin right there from Kendall Carpenter. He's going to shuffle the outside lane. They all funnel off into turn 1.
William Schmidt holds the advantage in of the lead there, but meanwhile behind him, Kendall Carpenter, Jack Painter is all side by side. Cole Freilich looking to the inside, trying to make it a 3-wide battle there as Kendall Carpenter scoots away and now becomes the top 3 will go nose to tail there with Freilich trying to come up there. So it's going to be a side by side battle between I believe that's the 32 of Carmichael and the 21 of Steven Gibson there. They'll sort it out going down the front straightaway there. 1 lap complete here in Atlanta.
And Gibson kind of got the short end of the stick there. Didn't really lose a whole lot of time. Just dropped back to 5th. And now he's got Mo Perry on the top, rim riding with Noah Carmichael. They're 3 wide back there for the 5th spot.
3 wide. They dive it off down into turn number 3. Steven Gibson on the high side. Mo Perry on the outside. The 32 of Noah Carmichael right there in the middle. And they're going to bring Jack Painter into it, whether he wants it or not. A little bit of a hiccup there from Mo Perry. He's going to fall back there. And he will be side by side with the 32 of Carmichael when they go off into 1.
Yeah, we're going to have to watch Mo Perry closely and see what these tires look like towards the middle of this run. You can definitely run up top and make a lot of time up there. It's just really going to work the rear tires a lot more than the bottom will, at least early on in the run. Later, you're probably going to want to move up to the top. We'll have to see how these guys sort that out. Painter, usually really good at saving tire. That's kind of why he's just sitting there letting all this happen, is Mo Perry making a pass on him, looking for 3rd on Freilich now.
Give the position to Mo Perry here. He will clear the 97 of Jack Painter, move him up into that 4th position. Mo Perry is on a mission tonight here. Great to see him running up in the top 5. We'll have to see if he can keep it up there all night long. You talked about the tires, Elliot. Let's bring in our pit reporter on the night, Ross Brockman here. Great to have you back, Ross. What are you expecting tonight in terms of pit strategy, and what will you be on the lookout for as you've got your ear to the ground here with our radio chatter?
Yeah, well, I think your fuel window is going to be closer to 40 to 45 laps, and if we're going to go green, which right now so far so good, I think that you potentially are going to just want to go as far as you can, because there's a chance you could maybe do a 2-stop in this race. But I think a caution comes out, that strategy will be out the window, even if it's just 1 caution. Then it really just becomes a tires game, because there's not as many sets, so you're going to need to make sure you can put 20 to 30 laps on a set of tires before you decide to take them off. So, yeah, I'm interested to see if we get a caution and what that does, what strategies some of these guys will take, because obviously tires are at a premium at a track like Atlanta here.
You're absolutely right, Ross. Thank you for that report here. And while we were talking, we had a change for the lead. Kendall Carpenter in that orange number 20 has brought his car to the lead around the 79 of William Schmidt, and he has brought Cole Freilich right to the back bumper of Schmidt there, coming out of turn number 4. Elliot, it is a championship top 3 race for the lead.
Yeah, we got a couple of guys back in the wall down the front stretch there. I believe it's all sorted out. Let's see, I believe that's a 55 of Brian Kling caught the wall through the dog leg. But as you mentioned, yeah, basically it's the opposite of what they're running in the points is, I think that's Jonah Malashek now that moves his way across in front of Freilich using the top lane. So a lot of these guys are already going up to the top trying to make that work. And right now, that top lane is working for them.
Boy, this place looks like a super speedway. They're lined up at inside and outside all the way. It looks like the new scan of Atlanta with the way they're racing. They're lined up inside, outside. Looks like they're drafting their way all the way around this 1.5-mile racetrack. Elliot, we talked about it before this show. This is not a race to be slacking by any means. As the 0-2 of John Daniels gets in the wall, he'll fall back to around about the 15th or so position there. But this is not the race to be slacking. You've got to be on your game as everyone has come to the front.
Yeah, and I think this just comes down to tire preservation. A lot of these guys are trying to get in front of other guys and get track position right now. And some guys like Kendall at this point dropping back to second as Jonah Malashek goes around the outside to take the lead. Guys like William Schmidt, Cole Freilich, they're all kind of sitting here saving a little bit of tire and just kind of relaxing on that bottom lane while these guys all trying to make this outside work. And you got to figure in about 10, 15, 20 laps, you'll start seeing the outside lane guys start to drop backwards and not really have that drive off the corner. But Malashek so far up from 12th to the lead. Mo Perry going to go around to second now in the top lane, really starting to come alive.
Boy, you want to talk about shot out of a cannon. Jonah Malashek from that 12th place starting spot all the way up to the lead. And Elliot, we haven't talked about Jonah pretty much all of season. As the 70 car goes around there in the outside wall, caution's going to be out. Heavy contact for the 70 of Harry Grindell. His night is all but done there as he took some heavy damage there up in the outside wall. Luckily, it looks like, well, the 12 of Emery Spence looks to be involved as well. We are lucky that wreck didn't take out more cars, because it happened right in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, it looked like Brian Lindauer just kind of caught the rear bumper of him and never really got disconnected. Just, again, some guys trying to go a little bit harder than others, and Harry's just kind of biding his time. Looks a little bit loose, too, but Bryden just kind of drives through him in the middle of the corner. Jack Painter survives it. Emery Spence barely gets tagged. I don't know that they caught the wall, though, after that. I think everyone kind of sorted it through and went on by, but Harry Grindell definitely takes the biggest impact out of that. And that was 6th and 7th in points. Grindell 6th in points, Bryden Lindauer 7th in points. And the guy right to their inside that they avoided was Jack Painter. And I'm sure he enjoys that because he was 8th in points. And he's like, well, I'll take those 2 spots and keep moving forward. Thank you very much, as you look at it from Emery Spence's point of view.
Well, you want to talk about some points drivers in that one. Like you mentioned, Jack Painter, the inside of that, just narrowly avoiding it. But right in front of Jack was our championship leader, Cole Freilich, only 1 car length away from this wreck. If that would have happened any further towards the front, it would have been major championship implications there. But like I said, luckily only 2 cars taken out in this one, as we've got some takers on pit road to try and clean up some damage and maybe get some fresh rubber here in this one, as we've got 12 laps on those tires that we started the race on. So we'll have to keep an eye on those guys who took tires, Ross, as they try to make their way forward, how that's going to make a difference.
Yeah, I think there was probably more drivers up in the top 10 that wanted to pit. I think I saw almost a second fall off in that 10 laps from the front runner. So I mean, I think a bunch of them were hoping. Even I saw Kendall Carpenter basically go through the grass after he was attempting to go to pit road and seeing that nobody else was coming down pit road to stay out and keep his track position. So yeah, other than that, the top 14 stayed on the track. Bryden Lindauer, Gavin Newton, John Daniels, Jackson Sims are some of the drivers that pitted here on this first caution.
And you can't blame them for going for that off strategy. I mean, if you do what the leaders are going to do, it's not going to win you the race. It'll only get you right there with them. So the off strategy, Elliot, can definitely play a factor here, especially at a track with so much fall off.
Yeah, and it's really going to be interesting how these guys handle the fresh tires. They're going to have the ability to drive right up to the field, but is it a chance to maybe preserve a little bit more and run a little bit further? Again, we talked about the fuel being about 40-something laps. I don't know that this really changes the window when you look at it, but it could be an opportunity for them to to just kind of preserve tire and potentially flip their strategy for a later caution and find themselves in a much better spot track position wise.
Definitely something to keep an eye on here. But I want to go back to the 23, your leader, Jonah Malashak. I started to talk about him right as that wreck started to unfold there. Jonah only has one top 10 finish this entire season. And he's out here leading the race, and it looked like he had the speed to just go out and lap the field based on how he was taking off from this pack. I don't know if it was just the fact that everybody else was trying to save more tire, or Jonah just had something hooked up on the outside, Elliot, but he was on a mission, and so we'll have to see how he handles this restart here with a driver we haven't really seen up towards the front.
Yeah, not to discount Jonah at all. He's run a really great, consistent season, but I think a lot of that was just saving tire. I mean, you saw Mo Perry go around the outside. A lot of these guys just kind of using the outside lane to their advantage. But now that you have the clean air, maybe this works for him. Maybe this works really well. Obviously, to Ross's point, we've got maybe 30 laps left in this run. If he can just maintain some clean air here is a big deal and allows the car to perform a lot better than if you're stuck in a mix with a pack, especially in a pack like we're going to see. Now, there's dirty air behind one guy, but there's a lot of dirty air when you're stacked 2x2 like they are right now, but at speed. So it'll be interesting to see how the 23 and 41 perform here, whether they go all out again or if they're going to kind of sit back and try to gauge how the 20 and 79 are going to run. But we'll have to see.
Certainly a game of cat and mouse to be played at this old, hot, slick surface here at Legacy Atlanta. The pace car's got the field all lined up in turn number 4. It'll soon make that hard left down onto pit road, and the field will be in the control of the 23 of Jonah Malashak with the 41 of Mo Perry to his outside. Green flag is out. We're back underway, and whoa, the tire spin there. Malashak gets a little sideways. Here comes the 20 of Kendall Carpenter making up for his initial start on the race. He rockets to the lead, and he's going to have a 2, 3, 4, 5 car length lead as they head off out of 2. They're going to be 3 wide behind him for that second place spot.
And if I'm William Schmidt and I'm Cole Freilich, this is a place that I do not want to be. You've got Bryden Lindauer all the way down on the bottom there. You got Mo Perry. You got them all stacked up all around each other. And William Schmidt's going to try to run the outside like Mo Perry did and rip around Jonah Malashak, and he will. He'll clear them all. And Cole Freilich's going to follow him through. These guys are just trying to get back to safety up in that top 3 or 4 spots there.
Malashak's right there in the sucker hole, nowhere to go. Has already lost 4 spots, now back under fire from the 32 of Noah Carmichael there to his inside. And here, look at the run that the 15 car got. Right, he'll close right up to the back bumper of Mo Perry, right around his championship rival of William Schmidt. And I mean, I'm just at a loss of the absolute run that he got off the top side there. Move Cole Freilich up to that 3rd spot solidly.
Yeah, I want to say sorry for the fact that I called Braden Movick Bryden Lindauer. We've got guys, I think that's Jackson Sims all the way on the top lane. He just came in and got tires, and you can see the benefit. He's going to fly past these guys. 4 wide into 3 and 4. He backs out of it. He almost thought about it, but he's got fresh tires, and he's trying to use them. And I think that's what we saw out of Freilich a minute ago, is just the fact that with these tires, if you're saving or if you're going, there's a lot of different options. And there's a lot of different grip levels, as you're going to see Jackson really wants to get around him. He goes to the top. They are 4 wide. Now they sink back to 3 wide, but Sims making that outside line work, and they're giving it to him as he continues on. They're next to Gibson and Jack Painter down the backstretch.
I mean, Jackson Sims looks like he's driving on easy mode in a NASCAR console game. Already up to make it now 3rd spot. Going to clear the 15 of Freilich for a second. He's going to have the lead here by the time they get off into 1, Elliot.
And judging by the math, I think this is a really good strategy. Again, it gives you the track position, it gives you the fresh tires, but at the end of the day, it also gives you the benefit over fuel. He can go longer, so you might as well eat up the tires a bit here and make it work. They're 4 wide again down the backstretch, banging off each other, hitting doors. That's Noah Carmichael, and now they're all wrecking.
Oh, this is a huge wreck. The Gibson's involved. Malashak's involved, your former leader. That's a 5, 6, 7 car pile up there. You see the 33 of Isaac Johnson's car has now come to rest there on the apron. Huge crash here. Caution is out on lap number 20 of this event.
And the problem now for guys like Jackson Sims, you're kind of just, you don't really have options. You pretty much stay out here, and you're going to get swallowed up next. So, yeah, they just came together, and it looked like, I believe it was Gibson in the 23 just kind of got stuck, or was that Malashak in the 23 that kind of got stuck?
We'll throw it down to our pit reporter, Ross Brockman. What are you hearing on the radio from all that?
Spot for we saw Jackson Sims and Emery Spence were the two that got tires on that last stop and were able to drive up through the field. It worked where some of those other drivers that pitted were now caught up in that incident. So yeah, not a lot of people pitting here. There's still a lot of the drivers that stayed out on that original caution that are also staying out here. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Sims is able to keep the lead going.
Absolutely, and we get, Elliot, another mixed bag of this looks like mostly guys who are involved in the wreck, so I'm gonna check my tongue on that one. But Cole Freilich now I'm showing being scored in the 11th spot after all of that, Elliot. So our championship leader plummeting through the field here. He's going to be at the tail end of these guys who have older tires.
Yeah, and I think, like Ross just mentioned, that's due to the fact that guys like Emery Spence and Noah Carmichael were just making the top side work and following Sims through. And then right there you can see that they all just kind of piled into each other, and Freilich's only just in front of that. So I'm actually surprised, looking back, that Steven Gibson made his way through there, because he looked like one that was in the middle of it. But clean race for him still so far. And yeah, I think, for Freilich right now, it's damage control, and it's trying to make sure that you're not in the middle of any of that. And I take that back. That's Gibson right there. He was definitely in the middle of it. There was maybe another white car that I saw. But I think for Freilich, it's making sure that you're not in whatever that is again, because a lot of these guys are all mixed tires, and staying out here kind of puts you at risk to be in the middle of that, just like a lot of those guys just were.
Freilich's on pit road, actually, Elliot. He has come down to get service on that car. It looks like it's just a 4-second stop, just a splash to get some fuel and maybe go the rest of the distance that Jackson Sims and those others who came down on lap 12 to try and get back on that fuel strategy. But if this works out for the 15 of Freilich, he'll have one more set of tires than those guys who came down on that first stop. So Freilich trying to employ a little strategy and put himself in the catbird seat.
Again, I think that's, it's a good strategy to just get out of where he is. 11th is a very dangerous spot to be after what we just saw. I'd really rather be in like the top 3 or 4, or, outside of the top 20 at this point. I think he's still going to line up about 15th to 20th, though, so he's still... Well, he's letting cars go, so he may have sped, and he's going to line up towards the rear potentially. But again, that's where I'd want to be at this point. It's fine to go off strategy. He has the points to kind of supplement it, and there's always a shot that Kendall or Schmidt get a little mixed up here with tires as well. Sims is picking the top, so we're going to have to see how Kendall gets up through the gears and if that benefits Sims. We've seen a lot of the tire spin be on the top lane, but we're not sure if that's just because that's where second place is starting, or if that's where the grip isn't. So it'll be interesting to see if Kendall can get through the gears and what Schmidt can do, because Schmidt was all over the back of Mo Perry the last restart as well, and Mo didn't really get a great start. So it'll be interesting if Schmidt can maybe make it 3 wide and do something about Kendall.
Definitely, that race is going to be on for that second place spot. I think you can expect to see the 45 of Jackson Sims. I expect a lot more grip out of him with those newer tires, and he's going to just scoot away from this entire field, kind of like how we saw when he initially took the lead. So we will have to keep an eye on the top 2 cars and see if Kendall can keep the wheels underneath him this time around. Unlike the last restart where he just shot around the 23 of Jonah Malashak. But We're about to see pace car dives on a pit road here. Jackson Sims has the field in his control. Green flag is out. No tire spin from the 45. And Kendall Carpenter once again struggling on that inside. Braden Movick will come in on the outside in that 42 Miami Vice McDonald's colored car. And he will take that second place spot. Meanwhile, the fight is on for that fifth place spot between William Schmidt and Jack Painter.
And they're 4 wide at the back. Stephen Gibson all the way at the bottom again in the middle of it, trying to gain back some spots. I'm sure he pit last time to repair damage, and I'm sure he got fresh tires out of it as well. So look for him to kind of gain some ground. And I believe Movick hit pit road, considering he was back in about 21st as well. So we'll have to see how Sims and Movick want to control this race with the fresher tires. Do they just sit here and kind of manage over Carpenter's pace, or do they try to build a gap and assume that this might go green for a bit and you know, try to distance themselves away, as now Schmidt going to look to the inside of Carpenter, potentially going down into turn 3, but they are still 3 wide, battling hard back here with Gibson.
That's the 22 of Justin Knutson, the 21 of Stephen Gibson, and Gavin Newton. They're all 3 wide there, trying to get everything that they can for this one. Great racing going on in the back of the pack, and meanwhile, back up at the front, Jackson Sims has not quite checked out from the 42 of Movick, but they're starting to put a gap on the 79 of William Schmidt here, with those new tires starting to prevail for Sims and Movick.
Yes, but Schmidt up to third, 3 wide again towards the back with Gibson. Every time he gets to the backstretch, he tries to make moves, and he is still passing people. So that wall contact didn't do him any harm. He's moving. Those fresh tires really helping him out, as you can see just how close Knutson and Carmichael are coming off of turn 4. But I think the biggest thing for Schmidt right now is he's clear of Carpenter. He's actually driving away, and he's just kind of managing a better run here. So Carpenter's starting to fall a little bit of a victim towards Jack Painter, and Schmidt now has that nice clean air that he needs, and he doesn't need to worry about anybody behind him.
The other thing to consider in this, Cole Freilich is still mired back in that 21st position. He has not made up any ground. Like we mentioned, he didn't take any tires, so we didn't expect the rocket ship speed that Jackson Sims had on those newer tires. But Freilich not making any ground up, and that is not helping his points position here. As the last time we looked at the live standings, I believe William Schmidt had actually passed him in points based on their current running position under caution. So we will have to see when we get our points back up here how they settle. But Cole Freilich not moving forward right now, as we've got, I mean, Chris Pervolarkis and the 22 of Justin Knutson cannot get away from each other. They continue to be the battle to watch as they finally sort it out coming down the front straightaway. But Pervolarkis already under fire from the 32 of Noah Carmichael. This is for that 9th and 10th spot. They're the last ones in the top 10.
Well, we watch that. Gibson has already moved up into the top 5. He's now focused on Jack Painter and Kendall Carpenter. He was up inside the top 5 until Painter kind of went around the outside, but Gibson is on fire here. Obviously, freshest tires pitted on lap 20, and he's making short work of everyone and starting to make his way up towards the top 3. But I think right now, the big thing for Cole Freilich is to just kind of not get frustrated. It's bizarre to me that he wouldn't take tires, but he's still in a safe spot. He's still okay, and he can still take tires later. They must be really worried about the amount of sets that they have and the amount of laps that this race has, because obviously no one in the top 5 besides Sims and Movick and Gibson have taken tires. So a lot of guys not taking tires, so I'm not surprised by Freilich's move. It's an interesting one, but we'll just have to see how he kind of runs the rest of this race. Still back there in about the 20th spot, though.
Boy, we've got cars bouncing off, running the top side, bouncing off the walls as they come off of 4. Everybody's, I mean, for the most part, everybody's down on the apron, but we've got a couple guys back in the pack here as we look at this mad scramble back here around the battle for the top 10, if you will, has not gone away, and if anything, it's just brought cars closer together here. This looks like the fight for the lead not too many laps ago here, led by Chris Pervolarkis there, and the likes of Noah Carmichael, Nolan Sanford there, all battling right there, and they just can't get away from each other. This is the fight to watch as they head off in 1.
Well, you wonder why Cole Freilich hasn't moved at all. It's because he's behind all these guys. Why would he get in the middle of this? And that's what I'm saying about being in a safe spot. He's just going to sit. You can see that red car back there. He is, he catches the wall a little bit, but that's not very beneficial. But why would you put yourself in the middle of this? So there's some rhyme or reason to why Cole Freilich's still running back about 18th. But right now he's just going to have to pick his way up through these guys one by one.
good luck. He's going to have to wait a while because they will not sort this out here. It looks single file for the time being, but my intuition says they're going to be 2x2 right here quickly as we see the 70 of Harry Grindell, who is involved in that first wreck. Heavy contact. He has repaired that car and fought his way all the way back up to the 12th spot, making the pass for 11th.
And he actually said he still has a bit of damage, and Gibson as well, who had damage. Gibson now going to second over Braden Movick to the inside and looking towards Sims. I'm interested to see how Gibson runs this. We've seen him really wear through his rear tires at certain tracks like he did last week, so we'll have to see exactly how this run goes for him, but he looks like he's going to be able to take the lead here from Sims within the next lap or so.
And that's just the advantage, the sheer power of these fresher tires. He's got roughly 11 lap fresher tires than Jackson Sims does, and you're about to see him right here as he's going to get to the inside here. Going to be side by side when they come across the line, looking for the lead here. So as soon as Gibson gets out in front, we'll have to see how that clean air to the nose of that 21 car is going to help him, because you can see the damage there to that left rear, or rather the right rear, where he contacted the wall in that in the second caution that we had. We'll have to see if that can hinder or will hinder him as this run goes on and those tires start to age.
And just a quick shout out to a couple of these guys. You've got Cameron Hurt, who started 29th, Michael Deitch, who started 26th, and Levi Wolf, who started 25th, all inside the top 15, running 13th, 14th, and 15th on your screen there. So real big shout out to those guys, obviously working through the pit strategies and the tires and everything to put themselves up inside the top 15, as Michael Deitch actually dropped back to 18th there. So they might be falling back. They may have stayed out, but just a really good run for these guys so far early on. But I want to throw down to Ross and see, Cole Freilich has had his chat disabled. Has there been any talks going on throughout this green run as he watches his pack and everything going on in front of him? Anything going on between these guys?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing has just been a lot of frustration on the radio, and not necessarily at anyone. I think just overall frustration. I think that the way the cautions fell and how that basically kind of messed up his strategy. You know, we saw that first caution, Kendall Carpenter want to come down pit road and then see nobody pitting and decide to stay out. Well, the same exact thing, I went back and looked, the same thing happened on the second caution with Freilich. He came down pit road and last second decided he wasn't going to pit, but it was too late. He hit the cone. I think that's he must have got a unsafe pit entrance, and that set him back where we saw on the restart he had to drop to the tail end. I'm surprised he never took tires, but he just decided to just do fuel. I guess maybe trying to just stay on the same strategy, the tire strategy, as his championship contenders, the guys he's going up against. But yeah, right now just behind the 8 ball because of that, and very frustrated. And that's why we haven't heard much from him since they, I guess, disabled the chat.
Thanks for that report, Ross. Yeah, that's major championship implications there, and major chat implications here. As Freilich's going to go by the, I believe that's the 57 there of Michael Deitch, hard into the wall there, and Kent will not get that car off that outside wall. Finally, well, I take that back. Barely able to control that car. We'll have to see if he can keep it straight. He is wiggling all around as we look back towards this fight up here. The fight is on for the second place spot. William Schmidt has caught back up to the likes of Jackson Sims here, trying to run down and make the most out of Cole Freilich's misfortunes here.
Yeah, that's definitely broken suspension for the 57 of Michael Deitch. We'll have to follow up on that later and see if he gets anything repaired. But for now, that's probably going to be a race ender. Yeah, William Schmidt, again, on a little bit older tires here, too, really making it work. So he's showing that it's definitely possible, and he's saved enough tire to kind of make this work. And he's actually starting to track down Steven Gibson a little bit. So William Schmidt might be the guy to watch here, as he just couldn't complete that pass on Jackson Sims as far as tire saving goes. And I get Cole Freilich's frustration, but to Ross's point, yeah, I don't see why you don't just take tires then. If you got a penalty and you're going to start back there, I get wanting to be on the same strategy as everyone, but you've seen these other guys take tires and how it works for them. And Freilich with his level of ability, you would think that just taking tires would have been the smart move there. But we'll have to see how it works out for him. Certainly not out of it, up inside the top 15 already, as these guys still battle for second.
Yeah, he's still picking his way forward, Elliot. Like you said, that mad scramble for that around to the 12th place spot has now dissipated, and Freilich now starting to pick his way through there. But he's got a long way to go still here, while his fight for the championship in William Schmidt is now bearing down on the lead. Jackson Sims has gotten back around William Schmidt, and they've now both closed in on the 21 of Steven Gibson. So maybe that damage starting to rear its ugly head for the 21 car, or those tires are starting to fall off. But either way, William Schmidt and Braden Movick have managed their tires beautifully to stay in the fight with these two guys on newer tires.
Well, don't forget Braden Movick also on similar strategy to Jackson Sims. Both of those guys on a little bit fresher tire than what Schmidt and Kendall Carpenter are on. Another little note towards Freilich's issues, he's running about a tenth or so slower than these guys up inside the top 5. Kendall Carpenter's actually starting to put down some fast laps, albeit all by himself, not really racing side by side with anyone like Sims and Schmidt and Movick all kind of were. But all 5 of these top 5 guys are now pretty similar. So it looks like after a while, that tire strategy that Sims and Movick and Gibson have all tried to pull, it just hasn't really worked, because you'd expect them to be a lot further ahead. The next question is, how do they pit? You know, when Schmidt pits in the next couple laps here, like we're assuming he will, do Sims and Gibson and pit immediately, or do they run out and try to see how long those tires go?
Tire saving is the name of the game, especially at this racetrack here at Atlanta with this old slick surface and this high-powered Gen 4 car. It's all about who can save the most tires. As we look farther back in the pack, most of this roundabout where Cole Freilich's running here in the 13th spot, they've all migrated to the top of the racetrack here as they head off into 1 this time. So about I'd say 3 or 4 laps ago, the middle of the field started to make an adjustment and run higher up here. I expected it in turn 1 and 2, but they're also doing it in 3 and 4, trying to preserve as much run as they can here as the battle wages on for this 11th spot. Freilich still trying to pick his way past the 55 of Brian Kling here. As contact was made, Freilich's going to barely hang on to it. He's still going to be side by side with Kling as they head off into turn number 1, but a whale of a job by Freilich to hold on to that car and not make a bad night go worse for him, as he will start to slip back now. Harry Grindell on his outside, but a whale of a job there. Big moment for Cole Freilich.
And unfortunately, he's not in the preferred lane, being down here on the bottom. You can see Grindell able to make work of him on the top and clear him. And now you've got, I believe scoring confused me there, but I believe that's Cameron Hurt now trying to get to his outside going into turn 1. But the other thing we got to look at is fuel strategy and pit stops here. If they pit on lap 50 and can go 45, then everybody should be good to make it on just 1 more stop from here. But if they can't stretch all those laps, then guys like Gibson and Sims are in the catbird seat as far as fuel goes, and that helps Cole Freilich a ton as far as fuel, at least over Schmidt and Carpenter, maybe not against everybody else.
And I did think that was interesting. It was something that I kind of wanted to pick your brain about, Elliot, on that under that last caution. Nobody came down. Nobody from that top crew kind of came down and got fresh tires after seeing the sheer grip and power that the 45 of Sims had on that initial pit stop when he came down to get tires. Nobody elected to come down and get tires here, as we see the 22 is sideways on the pit road, and Freilich's going to follow him down, and so will the 32. So pit stops have begun here with green flag pit stops, Elliot. But before, once again, my question gets interrupted. Why do you think nobody came down to get those fresher tires after seeing the speed that Sims had? Because after he took the lead and got that caution, it really kind of showed his hand.
I'll be honest, I really don't know at this point. I'm interested to see how this works out. These guys are all pitting really early. I would have expected Freilich to run a lot longer, as now we've seen Schmidt, Painter, and others come down pit road. I think it just comes down to the fact that they have limited sets, and Schmidt, Carpenter, and those guys are more worried about a late race yellow. And because Sims and Gibson were able to pass 20 cars in 2 laps, it just makes you really want to save that set on the off chance that you get a late race yellow with 5, 6, 7 laps left, and you don't have a set left. You're just going to be dead in the water at that point. So I'd rather have it later than sooner. And with how well Schmidt was able to handle that entire run and stay with Gibson and Sims even on 20-lap older tires, I think I'd got to say that at least Schmidt and Carpenter made the right call. They were still right there. Freilich, obviously, with the penalty is a little bit in a different spot. But, yeah, I definitely don't see where Schmidt or Carpenter made the wrong call. I'm just interested on the fuel strategy at this point. I think that's a bigger call out than the tires right now.
As Kendall Carpenter now brings his number 20 machine down pit road to get service a lap or so after his on-track rival there in William Schmidt has come down to get his service. So we'll have to see how they cycle out. But meanwhile, the 21 of Stephen Gibson and the 45 of Jackson Sims still stay out on the racetrack, and they have not gotten away from each other, Elliot. The fight is still on, and they, like you said, they've got another 10 or so laps in their tanks as Jackson Sims is sliding that car off of turn number 4. That's the second lap in a row he's done that, trying everything he can to get that lead, but doesn't look like it's happening this run.
Yeah, Sims is suffering. Gibson has fresher tires anyway, so Sims is kind of at a lost cause here. He's just got to hold on and try to maintain his position. But the number to look at right here for all the viewers is about 92 or 93. That's what Schmidt and Carpenter are looking for. If they can get to lap 92 or 93, that means that they can comfortably get to the end on that stop. So if they can't get past lap 90, I'm very skeptical that they can run to 134. But considering Freilich pit as early as he did, I have to assume that he knows that he can run 45 laps at the end if he has to, and they're just cutting this one short because of the reheats of the heat cycles of the tires for the pit stops or the yellow flags and everything. So, but right now, I think Gibson and Sims are in really good spots. They just need to manage those tires, and I think you'll probably see them pit either this time by or in the next few laps, as Sims is going to hit pit road right here.
It certainly is. The number 45 of Jackson Sims brings his purple and white machine down to get fresh rubber and fuel to get back out there. We'll have to see where they cycle back out with this massive tire difference here. He stayed on the track quite a bit longer than William Schmidt, who he was battling with for that second spot. We'll have to see where they cycle out once Jackson Sims gets his service and brings it back down, or brings it back up onto the racing surface. Let's throw it back down to Ross Brockman. Ross, have you heard anything throughout this pit cycle, or what's the radio chatter?
Yeah, a couple moments of drivers just kind of look out, watch where you're going as they all navigated pit road. Obviously, with a lot of different strategies here as far as when people are pitting. You got moments of cars with fresh tires catching up to cars with older tires, and yeah, it just gets a little hectic. I think Gibson here. I like the idea. I know Sims just decided to pit there. Gibson can go a little bit farther here, and yeah, Elliot mentioning. I think the pace slows down. Oh, as Gibson gets in the wall a little bit, the pace slows down so much that maybe they're able to stretch this a little farther than we're thinking. So. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Gibson can do that and potentially make this, just a one more stop. So we'll see.
Worth noting, William Schmidt has unlapped himself from the 21 of Stephen Gibson, so he will definitely have this lead when everything cycles back around here. But the 21 continues to stay out and make laps here, so Stephen Gibson really trying to stretch this fuel and leave no doubt for any fuel games for himself in that car later on in this race.
Yeah, I think that's the interesting point that Ross made is Gibson can obviously do this on one more stop, as with anybody else that's probably made it past about lap 55 here. But you got to assume, we initially thought pit cycles were about 40 to 45 laps. They had 2 yellows early on. That's close to about 4 or 5 laps under yellow. That's your 8 to 10 laps right there. So the idea is, since they all just pit around lap 55, that they can do 45 laps. And if that's the case, then they should be fine to make it all the way through to make it to lap 92 or 93-ish, which should put them about 42-ish laps away from making it to the end. So at the end of the day, we're just going to sit here and watch and hope that we can all sort it out. But right now, I've got to imagine that someone like Gibson is really in the catbird seat. The other side of this is we're looking at Jackson Sims. William Schmidt just went past the start-finish line, is going into turn 1 right now. Sims just came off turn 4. So it is a big gap that Sims has to make up. But that's the other side of this conversation. Can the guys that pit late here use those tires to then catch Schmidt, Movic, and these other guys that are now on the back foot?
And if it comes to a tire game, William Schmidt is not the driver that I want to be having to run down while conserving tires. He has been the class of the field when it comes to saving tires and having the speed later in the run. You saw it in that last run where he was able to maintain pace with the likes of Sims and Gibson and Movic after even with having 10 or 15 lap older tires. So William Schmidt definitely the one to watch here as everybody continues to make cycles around this racetrack, led by Steven Gibson, who continues to stay out here 41 laps on those tires.
Yeah, I kind of question it at this point. From lap 60, if you can do 40 laps, you don't need to really keep going. You know that you can go from 60 to 100 cleanly to 34. You're kind of at a really good window here to make it work. But we're not in the car. We're going to let them keep going and see what the strategy pulls. And Gibson, like I said, we haven't seen him be really good at conserving the rear tires week to week. So I think that's potentially something that's on his mind, and he's just trying to get as much as he can out of this run. Not to mention, if you get a yellow right here in the middle of this cycle, you've only got about 12 guys in the lead lap. It really messes things up. That's always a thing that they could be trying to do as the leaders. We see this in real life with Paul Wolf and Brad Keselowski, not Paul Wolf anymore, but Matt McCall and Brad Keselowski, and other Cup guys staying out pretty long to try to catch a yellow. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it puts you in a good spot if you get it. Either way, Gibson's probably got a top 5 car, so he can probably drive his way back up through there.
The other thing is, Elliot, with him staying out as long as he can on these tires, is the possibility that he's just trying to split this. He's just going to split this last run in half and make both runs as short as possible, so he can have the freshest tires throughout the remaining 80 or so laps.
Yeah, I think that's a possibility, but at this point he's already 25 seconds ahead of Schmidt. I don't know that you gain enough out of that. Obviously, we're not crew chiefs or engineers to be able to do all the math in our head right here and understand it, but that is a viable strategy. It just depends if he has the pace overall to run that hard in between and make that work. But we have yet to see that, and we'll have to see how it all sorts out. But he is just continuing to go, clicking off laps right now.
He's already at lap number 45 on these tires in this green flag run. So after this lap, he will have officially passed our split second broadcasting window for fuel. So some fuel mileage definitely being played by that 21, and he's still rim riding that top side here as we take a look back at Kendall Carpenter, who is in that 5th place spot, fighting now with Braden Movic for the 4th spot, trying to get by him and get back up to the likes of William Schmidt. Movic slams the door on him this time, and he will continue to hold that spot here as Steven Gibson has finally hit pit road and brought that 21 car down to get service, and that will cycle. Now the Brian Kling, the 55 car, will be your leader. He'll get his lap led as we continue to watch this battle for what will soon be the 2nd place spot by the time it all cycles back around. Carpenter on the outside, Movic on the inside.
And Carpenter has been really incredible to watch, both in that last run and in this run. Just really consistent at just taking care of his tires, making sure that he's not over driving the corners too much. And here he is going around the outside of Movic, now to deal with a lap car, potentially use him as a pick. Nope, already clear of Movic and set sights on Schmidt. I don't even know that Schmidt's going to have the pace to be able to hold off Carpenter at this point. It's going to be a fun battle between these two, who again are still trying to track down Cole Freilich in points. So they need to be a little bit careful with how they're racing each other. But right now, both of these guys class the field.
And Freilich is currently scored in the 10th position, but he will drop. There are guys. Harry Grindell has just pitted, or well, rather he's not just pitted, but they've got much fresher tires. There's at least 4 guys back behind Freilich who I expect to go up there. Obviously, Steven Gibson being one of them, Bryden Lindauer as well, Harry Grindell, Emery Spence have all less than 10 laps on their tires. So I expect them to get up there and get back around Cole Freilich and put even more pressure on him as this points day could not go. Well, I hazard to say it couldn't go any worse for Cole Freilich, but we all know it. We all know it certainly could. But William Schmidt now shows the way with Kendall Carpenter hot on his heels there as they flash down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I think if you ask Kendall Carpenter or Jack Painter how a day could go from okay to really, really, really bad, I think they have a couple of weeks that they could show you. And I mean, even Cole Freilich has had his couple of weeks where it just didn't work out, and he's been kind of pushed back into this championship battle. But tonight is just another one of those swings, and all of a sudden William Schmidt is just in the middle of it. So this season has been really entertaining from that perspective, but this race is far from over. You see the purple car back there, Jackson Sims closing back in. We haven't seen long run pace from him yet that makes me think he can go up there and get Schmidt and Carpenter. But so far, those fresher tires really playing advantage as Carpenter's still trying to get to Schmidt, but Sims lurking back there ever so quickly.
A point of order there. Jackson Sims does not have the tire advantage that he had at the beginning of this race when we saw him flash up to the lead. He's only got 5-lap fresher tires than your leader William Schmidt. He's only got 3-lap fresher tires than Kendall Carpenter there in second. So the fact that he's able to run these guys down just shows you that difference in tire. But it also speaks volumes to the speed. At least the short run speed that purple 45 car has. He is closing and closing quickly. We'll have to see if he can continue to stay up there and fight with them throughout the rest of this run.
I mean, we know Sims is usually pretty solid at saving tires, especially at a track like this where you really are going to use up the rears and you need that good drive off. But we just haven't really seen it in this race yet. We haven't been able to experience it, especially knowing that he had the fresher tires and couldn't really drive away from Schmidt or anybody. As that run went on and even lost the lead to Gibson. But right now, he's already displaced Movic, and he's now up to third, just trying to click off any little bit of time towards Schmidt. But that also makes you wonder, how is Gibson doing back there? He's already up to 12th and trying to work on Pervolarkis and Carmichael, now already next to Carmichael and closing in. But he's got a lot of ground to make up, over 11 seconds behind your leaders, now 12 seconds back to William Schmidt.
Yeah, basically half a track, but I don't think those leaders are concerned with the likes of the 21 car as far back as he is. They'd be more concerned with that 45, who has now cleared Braden Movic for that third spot, and he is on the march and closing quickly.
Well, you don't think they should be worried, but he is running nearly a second a lap faster than Schmidt and Carpenter right now. So you give him 12 laps, and we might see if they're thinking any different as he flashes past the start-finish line right there, 11.1 seconds back, as opposed to the 12.0 that he was a lap ago. So 9/10 clicked off in one lap. If he can do that just 8 more times, he's there.
And we're just watching that ticker continue to click down. You're just watching it drop, almost like a countdown towards the inevitable. We will have to see if he can continue on this pace that he's got, just absolutely ripping towards the front of the field there. Almost another second taken off of the leaders gap that time by, and he has now cracked the top 10. So Steven Gibson, the 21 car, on the march here in the mid part of this race.
I remember we still got at least 15 to 20 laps left in this run before everybody can safely pit in the window. So Gibson's got a lot of time to make up. Maybe pulling your strategy that you thought, where he just split it up in half and have these 3 kind of segments here that are all really short compared to everybody else having to run a little bit longer, and he's just going to use that advantage at the beginning of the run to really eat into it. Sims's progress is kind of stalled here. He was about a second and a half back 2 or 3 laps ago. It's 1.2 seconds, but it looks like everyone's kind of even here amongst the top 3. It's really going to come down to how quickly Gibson can start to catch these guys and if he can kind of make inroads, as now it was 9.2 last time, literally 8 to 9/10 a lap that he's gaining, although he still has some traffic to work through with Freilich and Lindauer right in front of him.
Well, he's just dispatched of the 15 of Cole Freilich very easily and will now pull on him probably 7 car lengths by the time they get back to the line here. And now he sets his sights on the 43 of Bryden Lindauer. So Gibson's still rocketing towards the front of the field here. Now 8 seconds back at this point. It just continues to click down here. Now what was a half a lap away is now just a back straightaway here, as the 79 is exiting. The 79-year leader is exiting 4, and here comes the 21 into turn 3. So, Gibson on the march has dispatched of the 43 of Bryden Lindauer now and has clean racetrack out in front of him.
It's not gaining like it was before. It was only a half a second those last 2 laps there, 6/10 the last time, 5/10 the time before. But if he can keep going at the pace he's going, he'll still get there by the end of this run, and I'd say that that's a net gain for him. considering, again, he was on those fresher tires and barely pulling away. I think for a guy like Sims and a guy like Gibson, being in that top 3 or top 4 and just seeing these guys is a positive at this point.
Absolutely. And you want to talk about Sims. He is closed up to the back bumper of that 20 car of Kendall Carpenter, now starting to take the fight to Kendall here as they go through turns 1 and 2. You can just see Sims inching closer and closer, and all that gain happens down these straightaways here as he gets such a great exit as he fires off down into turn number 3. Make it 1 car length now back on that 20 car. Sims showing the pressure here as he closes back up to the back bumper of that 20 car.
And that's really what it is, like we were talking about earlier. I mean, it's the rear tires going away that doesn't allow you to get through the exit of the corner. And you can see Carpenter's just going to give it to him, honestly, in the middle of 1 and 2. He lets him go on entry and just says, all right, if you can go get him, you go get him. I mean, that's still beneficial for me as Sims just working the wheel on corner exit. But that's all it is just trying to get off the corner and carry momentum down the straightaway. They actually lost a lot of time doing that. They were 7/10 behind Schmidt about a lap or 2 ago, and now they're over a second. So a little bit of work to do for Sims yet, but you can see just how good those tires are, even if they're only 3 laps newer.
And I do think that, like you said, that is a smart move by Kendall Carpenter to just let the 45 by. He watched him catch him from so far back, and it's just like when he finally gets there, all right, buddy, you go get him, because you were right, Elliot. They were both losing time now to William Schmidt, who, like we said, who's so good at saving tire. This is going to be the moneymaker section of the run for Schmidt. How well has he saved those tires out in that clean air as well, while Sims has been driving all the way up here? How much does he have left versus our leader here as they fire off down into 1?
And these guys are all going to have decisions to make here in the next 10 laps. Around lap 90 again, 90 to 95 is when we assume we'll see more pit stops. And it's going to come down to who kind of jumps the gun first. Remember, Freilich was one of the first guys to pit over the last run, still holding pretty strong in that 10th place spot. But you don't want to be the first guy on pit road, as we show Gibson's on board here, stalking Jack Painter for the top 5. And he's within 5 seconds now and continuing to march his way towards the leaders as they go off in turn 1.
Steven Gibson, not unlike a Panther, coming up through this field. You look away from him. You watch him. He's in 1 spot. You look away for a second, and he's already up another 2 spots here, and easily dispatches of that 97 of Jack Painter here. Move Steven Gibson up into the top 5, and you can see the leaders right out there in front of him. You can see the purple car of Jackson Sims, that bright orange of Kendall Carpenter there. Easy to spot him on track, and Steven Gibson's drawn a bead here. How will he fare running these guys down? He's got it to less than a straightaway.
And I thought Carpenter was one of the better guys in this group of 4, but Braden Lovick has now dispatched him and is now moved into 3rd. And Carpenter seems to be struggling now. I guess the tire's just not really working to his advantage this time. Just not really able to do anything. Remember, he had fresher tires than Schmidt. He pit about a lap after him. So I really thought Carpenter was going to get up there and kind of challenge, but this run just not really going his way as he drops back to 4th, Lovick up to 3rd, and Sims still gaining about a 10th or so a lap. It goes from 0.9 to 0.8 right there, but that white car ever so slightly making his way towards the front. Steven Gibson under 3.5 seconds now in 5th.
It's sort of a metaphor for inevitability here, as Steven Gibson as he comes off of turn number 2 here. The gap is now 3.2, 3.1, 3.0. It's just still continuing to drop here. And like you said, Elliot, Jackson Sims has not gone away from William Schmidt here. Still hanging tough right there, just underneath 1 second, where it was like 1.2 or something back when he dispatched of Kendall Carpenter. So that 45 car not out of it yet, but they continue to trail that 79 William Schmidt, who has showed the way brilliantly here at Atlanta.
He hasn't gone away, but it has completely evened out. Schmidt now kind of holding a stranglehold here, and it's only going to get harder for Gibson because he's going to have to pass 3 of the fastest cars on track to get to Schmidt. So you can see just how loose Jackson Sims is off the corner using up those rear tires. But I think Schmidt he's completely evened out. The only car faster than him in the top 5 is Steven Gibson, which is completely understandable with the tire difference. But even Gibson only gained a 10th on him that last lap, and he's going to have to pass these guys unless they just move out of his way. So I think it's definitely open for anybody to get this done, especially knowing how staying out for a couple laps can help you. and the fact that Gibson's going to be able to stay out a lot longer than anybody else in this group. But the question for Gibson is, how long do you stay out compared to everyone else? That's what we'll have to see in the next 5 laps.
You're absolutely right, because the longer he stays out, the bigger gap that the guys who pit before him will get, and it's just going to have to, it's just going to create more work for Gibson to track them all back down. He's basically proved, we'll call him there at this point. He's basically proved that he can track them down, but getting to him is one thing, passing them is another. As we're both fully well aware of. And back up towards the front here, you want to talk about a car that's driving good versus a car that is starting to feel it. William Schmidt has not left the bottom of the racetrack, while Jackson Sims has been searching all around. He was up towards the top, tried the middle. Now he's back down to the bottom because he sees the 79 is making it work down there on the bottom. But Jackson Sims really starting to search for grip now as the gap has opened back up to over 1 second.
Yeah, I think that's the other really interesting thing that we haven't covered literally at all is a lot of these guys have been running the top. This entire run, Schmidt has never left the bottom once. And iRacing is typically a bottom-feeding frenzy in a lot of these races. And you really only see guys go to the top when they're in those massive packs and they just need places to go. Or, in Braden Movik's case, he's like, I got to make a pass here. I got to make some ground up. You can't really switch lanes, it feels like. You just kind of want to run the bottom. And you can see just how easy it is for Movik to just go around the outside of Sims because Sims doesn't have the run off. But if you can use up the entire track and you're not racing anyone, typically the bottom lane is where you want to be. It's got the most grip. It's got the most rubber laid down. It's where you want to be. Sims really sideways. Movik sideways as well. As you can see Gibson going around Carpenter in the background. But Schmidt has never left the bottom. And that's got to be one of the more interesting things throughout this run.
Yeah, definitely a master of saving tire here as he continues to lead the bottom. And you're absolutely right. iRacing definitely favors the bottom feeding drivers here. You basically call it Kevin Harvick Simulator 2024 if you want, as someone who never left the bottom. As William Schmidt continues to put those left side tires right on that paint. But Braden Movik now showing speed here as he has got that lead back down to right about 1 second, flashing right at 0.9 of a second here. But don't look now. The 21 is here. Steven Gibson has passed the 45 of Jackson Sims, move him up into that bronze medal position, and definitely drawn a bead now on the 42 of Braden Movik. Steven Gibson is back just in time for pit stops, I believe, Elliot.
Yeah, and it's interesting. He's been doing a lot of different things as far as where he's running. And he'll go to the top, he'll go to the bottom, he'll kind of run wherever, and he seems to be the only one that's comfortable to go all over the place. So we'll have to see how quickly he can try to go and dispatch Movik and keep going, but he's still gaining about 2 to 3 tenths a lap over Schmidt, and Movik actually has gained about 2 or 3 tenths the last couple laps. So Movik with a little bit of pace left in that car compared to what Schmidt's got. So it's really just a 3-horse race as Sims and Carpenter have fallen off. They're now both 2 seconds back, struggling, racing each other actually in a lap car there with, I believe that's either John Daniels or Isaac Johnson back there, but it might be Levi Wolf actually, sorry, but those guys have fallen off, and it's kind of between Schmidt, Movik, and Gibson. And if Gibson can displace Movik really quickly, he might be in the catbird seat to play this strategy through.
Yeah, the tires have just gone from the 20 and the 45. They're just hanging on, trying to keep within striking distance of this top 3, who are just starting to pull away here from those 2 drivers here, and it continues to be just now William Schmidt starting to manage that gap a little bit. The gap back to Braden Movik is down to 0.7, now 0.8 it'll be. So definitely I think Schmidt has seen the guys coming in the rearview mirror, starting to play a little cat and mouse with them, managing that gap, managing the tires as best he can.
Schmidt's also dealt with a little bit of lap traffic, just went around Justin Knudsen there, that 16th place car, as now Movik and Gibson are going to have to deal with that. And we are at the window. We are about 40 laps left this time by, as Movik around the outside. Gibson makes it work as well around Knudsen, who just kind of stays out of the way, does a good job. Really loose down there. Almost thought he was going to drive up into Gibson, but they all keep it going straight. As you see, that is Levi Wolf making up some ground on fresher tires, 9 laps down currently in the 20th position. But it's going to be interesting to see how these guys manage their pit stops here, closing in on this pit window, about 40 laps left in this race.
And we've got cars on pit road. Chris Pervolarkis in the 49, Emery Spence in the 12. We talked about them earlier on in the broadcast. They have hit pit road. The 32 now of Noah Carmichael. Some 13th through some mid-teens action happening here as now the 22 as well. All there. Knutson hits pit road this time. So pit stops are inevitable at this point. It's just a matter of how long they stay out. And now that gap continues to drop another 10th here. Braden Mubbock within 6/10 now of William Schmidt, and he is bringing Steven Gibson up there with him.
Kendall Carpenter nearly lost that car off of turn 4. I'm sure it scared Jackson, but he literally lost a spot to Sims. He was so sideways the rear tire was smoking. Carpenter really trying to make something work, as Sims actually is the earliest to pit out of this top 5. We'll have to see if anyone from the top 3 pits this next time by, as Carpenter stays out and Jack Painter hits pit road. Freilich has actually hit pit road last time by, obviously running 10th like we talked about earlier, trying to gain anything he can back on this top 10.
That's definitely going to be a game of who blinks first here from this top 5 group of top 5. And apparently the answer is Jackson Sims, as he is elected to bring that car down to pit road. And now William Schmidt will follow him this time. So William Schmidt, your leader, now to pit road. And that will give the lead over to Braden Mubbock, with Steven Gibson hot on his heels. So, Elliot, this will be roughly a 36-lap run to the finish for William Schmidt. Definitely firmly within the pit window. You can absolutely, dare I say, go all out with it not being a full run here. So the action's definitely going to heat up, as this will be the final stop for these guys as William Schmidt gets his service.
Yeah, arguably a little bit shorter than what they've been dealing with, so it'll be easier to manage tires here as Mubbock and Gibson continue to stay out. I'm interested to see if Carpenter actually does hit pit road here. I'm not sure if he was speeding. He flew down in there, but may have got it stopped in time. We'll have to see.
Ross Brockman, I'm seeing some chatter on the radio. What do you got?
Yeah, there is a penalty coming for the 20 of Kendall Carpenter here, so that's gonna definitely hurt his opportunity to at least finish top 5. Like you said, him and Sims were kind of falling back there from our top 3. Mubbock is in now. I think that right now I really like that these guys that are hitting pit road a little earlier here, because this run is going to be a little bit shorter. I think Gibson was able to catch up because that last run was our longest run that we've had. So yeah, it's going to be a shorter run here. So I think getting the tires early is the play. But Gibson might just run this green and see if he can get a lucky yellow.
Boy, he is absolutely trying that, but the camera sure needs to be focused on this battle for what looks to be the lead here when they cycle out between the 45 of Jackson Sims and the 79 of William Schmidt. They just split the 43 of Bryden Lindauer going down the back straightaway, and they continue to fight. Jackson Sims has that position now over top of William Schmidt with that one lap older tires here, as now Schmidt comes back down on the inside. They're going to be side by side as they head off into 3.
Yeah, I'm nervous about Gibson's decision here, but you can see this battle going on between Sims and Schmidt, and Sims is not going to give it up. He's going to race really hard here, knowing if he can get Sims or Schmidt to burn up his tires, then he might be in a good spot to handle potentially winning this race himself. But right now, if I'm Gibson, I got to pit. Like, everybody's come in pretty much. There's 3 guys that have stayed out so far, and Gibson doesn't want to lose this race. He potentially had winning speed. If he pits now, he can easily get back to that as he's trying to cycle his way through these lap cars. Schmidt still can't get the job done over Jackson Sims as they go off into turns 3 and 4. You've got Levi Wolf. They're going to split him, and they're nearly wrecking right in front of him. That's, I believe, Gibson and others, and they're going to split all these guys. Gibson going to have to watch these guys go by, and Gibson almost wrecks with Schmidt there. And, yeah, Schmidt holding off Sims, but still side by side through all of that.
Ooh, what a big moment there for Steven Gibson. The car just got loose and light there coming through the tri-oval right as the 79 and the 45 were coming through there on the inside and outside. Move Schmidt now back to the provisional, or the proverbial lead, if you will, over top of Jackson Sims as he sets to work on the lap 30 or the 36 car of Hurt. And they will easily dispatch of him. So this battle not going away here as Jackson Sims concedes the position, but looks to tuck back in line and stay tucked up with this 79 car.
And Gibson continues to stay out, and he's pitting this time now, but I question if he's just gone a little too long. Like Ross said, we're only going to have about 35 laps here, or 30 laps here, so he's really running out of time at this point to have to make all this ground back up, and lost a ton of time there on that last lap as the 36 who was blinking in and out will finally get out of the way for Sims to potentially go down and go around and track down William Schmidt. But Schmidt up to the lead, and just to catch you back up, Freilich up to 8th. Kendall Carpenter is 16th, 1 lap down after his speeding penalty. Unfortunate night. We were talking about guys that were just wanting good runs. 56 points behind coming into tonight, and this is just going to make it even harder with only a couple races remaining on the schedule.
Ross, I'm seeing a bunch of chatter on the radio there. Race control having to come down. What's happening?
A little bit of so we've had some drivers just have some bad connections tonight, and yeah, it's just a couple warnings on that. But I'm gonna add, I don't know where it was from, and I know you guys were saying the 20 of Carpenter was sliding around a lot towards the end of that last run. He definitely got some damage at some point here, and that might have been part of the factor that brought in the penalty coming down to pit road, and the car is definitely not up to speed compared to a lot of the other drivers that pitted on the same time that he did. So definitely kind of a bummer to the end of his championship hopes potentially here, just because this is going to be a huge hole for him as Freilich has really rebounded back up to 7th now, and I think if anything, he maybe would fall to 8th or 9th before the end of this. But yeah, it's a tough night ender for Kendall Carpenter.
You are absolutely right. Freilich, and a great rebound, and yeah, very unfortunate happenings for Kendall Carpenter, who now goes 1 lap down, scored in the 15th position right now. But yeah, big points. The points have been just all over the place right now, and that's why you can't really look at them mid-race. You really got to just take your points battles one race at a time here, as William Schmidt has continued to show the way here, as now Braden Movick has gotten around the 45 of Jackson Sims, and he is closing now on the 79 of William Schmidt. So the fight isn't done yet. Here comes the 42 car.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where Movick came from. I know he's had crazy pace, but I'm almost wondering if that battle between Schmidt and Sims has kind of brought him back in here, and Movick smells blood in the water. He's there and has the pace. He didn't, and he honestly had the pace at the end of the last run, so Schmidt might have a problem here trying to get through these last 25-ish laps, and I don't know. Movick might have just played his cards perfectly right. I do want to update that Steven Gibson's running 8th right now, about to pass Cole Freilich for 7th, but is nearly 12 seconds back. And remember, it took him about 30-something laps to gain those 12 seconds back towards Schmidt, and we're closing in on 25 to go here. So I don't know that Gibson's really going to be a factor anymore. Definitely a shot at 4th, where Painter's 7 seconds back, so only about 4 seconds difference there. But I think Gibson really shot himself in the foot by staying out as long as he did there. But Movick is here.
You are absolutely right, Elliot. And remember when in the last run, when Steven Gibson was taking out chunks of that lap time, this last time he took out 0.7 on our leader William Schmidt. So the ticker's still going down for Gibson, but it's certainly not going to be as fast as it was last time. As Movick looks to the inside now, the fight is on for the lead. Movick down to the inside, William Schmidt up on the outside. They're going to be side by side coming off of for this time. Advantage still going to be William Schmidt at the line. Maybe no. Braden Movick leads that lap there as they fire off down into turn 1 side by side once again.
And you got to wonder how aggressive Schmidt's going to be here. It looks like he's just going to run the top, not really try to do anything crazy. Maybe just make sure that Movick can't get the line. But Movick going to clear himself off the corner. Schmidt back to the inside, where he worked so well over the whole last run and maintained pace. But again, you got to wonder, how aggressive does Schmidt be? If he's already in second, a second-place finish here probably gets him the points lead, regardless of anything else that happens, if Freilich's going to finish 8th. So, do you be aggressive and potentially wreck yourself here, or do you just kind of finish in second knowing that you potentially had a winning car?
Well, so at the start of the race, William Schmidt was 20 points back from Cole Freilich. With 2 races remaining, if you average that out, if you can get more than 10, if you can average 10 points, a 10-point advantage per race, he can get there to Cole Fralick. And tonight, I think he's going to get definitely more than that. Certainly setting himself up in prime position to make a run at Fralick's lead if he doesn't have it already by the time he gets out of here at Atlanta. He will be setting himself up really great for next week's finale in terms of a points rebound to try and run down Cole Fralick. But for right now, he's trying to run down Braden Movick, who is starting to scoot away, Elliot.
Yeah, I think the big thing here is maybe Sims and Schmidt kind of drove a little too hard because Sims is now over 2 seconds back. Schmidt can't really have an answer for Movick at this point, so he's potentially going to rely on some lap traffic that they're catching up here or something going on and potentially put himself back in the mix. But Sims is losing about 0.2 a lap to Movick, and Schmidt just doesn't really have an answer. Meanwhile, Steven Gibson is actually cleared up to 5th. Painter's dropped off to 6th. And Brian Lindauer finds himself in 4th now. He's just quietly been working his way up into the top 5, and is going to try to hold off Gibson, but it's not going to be something that he'll be able to do over the last 20 laps here.
No, Gibson certainly got the speed here as he looks down to the inside of Lindauer, and they will be side by side coming off the corner here. Make that a spot to Gibson. No, can't quite clear him here. Nope, he will get him this time with that front on camera. It makes it a little bit difficult. So Steven Gibson now up to 4th, 7.3 seconds back, and certainly closing. He's got 19 laps to try and run down Braden Movick, who is really starting to put a gap on William Schmidt here as he comes out of 4 this time.
Give a shout out to these guys, too. Nolan Sanford up here in 7th after starting 9th, came in here 4th in points. We've talked about Steven Gibson a bunch, obviously looking at potentially a 3rd place finish if he can go get Sims. He came in 5th in points, and then Brian Lindauer came in 7th in points, up here running in 5th, and Jack Painter running 6th currently, 8th in points. That's pretty much all of your top 10 running up here in the top 10, so it's going to be interesting with 2 races left in the season after tonight, how this all works out. These guys are all really stout, really competitive guys, and with the exception of kind of Sims up here and Movick, it's kind of full of your top 10 in points. So I'm interested to see how this all works out. But shout out to Sanford and these guys that are running up inside the top 10.
Yeah, the cream of the crop really rises especially in a car like this where you really have to manage that throttle at a track like this where it's all about how softly can you put that throttle down and maintain those tires. And you really see the talent come out here as, like you mentioned, we've got the top 10 inside the top 10 in points inside the top 10 on the racetrack. So really a good showing here from all involved, and it's been a very, very clean race after the madhouse that was the first couple laps in this one. We've gone green for the majority of it, so it's been a very great race to watch here. As Steven Gibson now was checked back in, it's basically like a Steven Gibson watch at this point. Now the gap's down to 6 seconds with just shy of 17 laps to go in this one as Braden Movick now comes out of turn number 4. Gibson's on the march. Can he get there, Elliot?
I would like to imagine he could for the fact that it would make great racing, but with about 15 laps left here, I just really don't see it happening. It's going to take a lot. He's about 5.5 seconds back, and Movick's running 32.4s, and he's running 32.1s, so 0.3 of a lap. It just doesn't add up, but and he's got to pass Sims. But we'll have to see. I mean, Movick's still a little bit in lap traffic, and these things are really difficult to drive. There's always a mistake that could happen, but honestly, Movick and Schmidt have been really solid all night long, so it'll be really difficult for Gibson to try to make that happen.
And with the speed that Schmidt had shown all race long, he really didn't put up as much of a fight to Braden Movick as I thought he would have when he was going through there. But and chime in if you agree, but I think that was a points racing decision there to not really fight Movick and definitely preserve this second place run that he's got going on, capitalizing on the misfortunes of Cole Fralick, who has rebounded to 8th, but definitely not the night that he wanted. So Schmidt, I think, playing the points role there, hoping to come out of here with a solid second place finish here as the laps start to wind down.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and say I just don't think he has the tires to deal with Movick. I think, in retrospect, Schmidt is very happy to come out of here with a second place finish, knowing that Freilich set down in 8th and Carpenter's down in 14th. It's a great points night. He's led a bunch of laps. He had the pole. It's been a good night overall, but Schmidt wants to win, and he loves to win. And he was frustrated with the Rockingham finish, and he's here to win races. And I think, tonight, it was really that battle with Sims that set him back here in this last run. I don't think if he had to battle Sims that Mavic would have had as much of a charge, and maybe this story goes different. But I think on the other side of that, Mavic has just had a ton of pace in these last two stints, and it's really shown here. Now over a second on Schmidt, as Gibson's still trying to work over Sims for third.
You're absolutely right. The 42 has just shown blistering pace as he has opened up well over a second gap on the 79 of William Schmidt, who you talked about it, loves to win. He has 2 wins on the season, the second most top 10s of this field. Only second to only Cole Freilich, his championship rival. So definitely a forward-thinking driver, if you will, in William Schmidt here. As we now watch, Steven Gibson has caught the 45 of Jackson Sims. The fight is on for that third-place spot. Sims up high, Gibson down low. They're going to be side by side coming off the corner here. Gibson's got the tire advantage. How well will he dispatch of the 45?
Well, you'd think pretty easily, but Sims has put up a bit of a battle here again. Gibson doesn't have the tire advantage that he had in the last run, so that massive gain that he would make and how he caught all these guys so quickly is just not there. And with 10 laps to go, it's probably frustrating, but he was a third-place car about that last run, so not really surprising to see him running right in third. I think he just kind of net gained where he was and didn't really lose anything. So still a solid night for Gibson. I think the other side of this is Mavic doing something different. Obviously ran really well at Dover when he won, started on pole, led the most laps, did a phenomenal job. And here tonight, we haven't even talked about it. He started 21st. He has not really had a great night, and he has just methodically worked his way up to the front and just saved tire and done a really good job. In these last 2 or 3 runs here, he has just absolutely been the class of the field over everybody else, and now sits almost 1.5 seconds over Schmidt with about 8 laps to go here.
Definitely your Dover winner putting it on him here tonight. Shows the way here. Less than 10 laps to go. Make it 9. It'll be 8 to go when he flashes back across the line this time. Gibson has dispatched to the 45. The charge is on. He's 3.5 seconds back. I don't think it's happening. And Braden Mavic just out here just starting to put cars back away here as we look on to the fight for 10th there between Pervolarkis and Carmichael there. A solid fight for them, fighting to be the first car 1 lap down should we get a caution.
Yeah, another thing to note, Cole Freilich moved up to 7th. I don't believe he's going to be able to have the pace to get up to Jack Painter, who sits 6th, but a good rebound for Freilich, who obviously didn't really have the best run tonight with all of his issues with the penalty and just the fact that he pitted at a different time and went off strategy from all of his points rivals. So between him and Carpenter both falling outside the top 10 at one point, rebounding to 7th is pretty solid. Carpenter having his penalty, going to run 14th it looks like tonight, so a big swing in the points that we'll get to after this race. But Mavic continuing to put him away here.
It'll be 6 laps to go here when they flash across the line. This time, Braden Mavic continues to show the way, dominating speed all night long here as we look back at William Schmidt, who is now trying to pick his way through these battling cars of Carmichael and Pervolarkis, but looks like Elliott might just be content to just sit there right behind him. He's got a solid gap back to Gibson, so no real rush to dispatch of these guys.
Yeah, solid gap, but it's starting to go down a little bit. Gibson's definitely getting there and still has the advantage, so you don't really want to give him too much of an edge. So he's going to have to, work his way around these guys if he really wants to try to keep this spot. As you can just see the drive into the corner that he has over Pervolarkis and Noah Carmichael, just drove it off in there compared to what those guys can do. So it'll definitely be in his best interest to get around these guys. Another guy we haven't talked about, Harry Grindell, up in 9th right now after being involved in that first incident, starting inside the top 10. What an up and down night. But to find himself inside the top 10 here, really phenomenal job with his damage and everything that happened. great job to Harry Grindell up inside 9th place.
Absolutely, a great rebound for our token Brit here, and I want to issue a correction and an apology to the league admins here. This is not the second to last race. We've still got 2 races after this. Next week is IRP. We go short track racing, or rather, not next week. We take a week off for Thanksgiving. Next week 2 weeks will be IRP, and then the week after that is the season finale in Auto Club. So still plenty of time for a point swing to happen, either to put William Schmidt up into the point lead, or for Cole Freilich to swing momentum back in his favor. But the fight for the championship certainly isn't done here. But Atlanta just about is, as Braden Movick, 3 laps to go, continues to show the way down the back straightaway.
And if Schmidt's not careful, Gibson is getting there. It's within a second now. So there's still time for Gibson to potentially do something. It's definitely not the big gains and chunks that he needs. But if Schmidt gets held up here behind Noah Carmichael, it could be an issue for him with Stephen Gibson just sitting in the weights.
Yeah, having Carmichael and Pervolarkis really as Schmidt's up in the wall there, or at least just alongside of it there. The gap is now barely like four or 5 car lengths there. Stephen Gibson is there here as they're coming down to take the white flag. 1 lap to go for Braden Movick here, who is really just, I mean, we talked about Schmidt, we talked about Gibson a lot, but Movick, honestly, kind of the snake in the grass, if you will, came out of nowhere, surprised us on that last run there, Elliot. And Movick has shown absolutely dominating speed on this last run here. As we look back at Gibson and William Schmidt, I don't think Gibson's going to get him. And out of turn number 4, Braden Movick will come to the checkered flag to claim his second victory on the season, sliding it across the line here. Braden Movick wins it in Atlanta.
And he's going to destroy the car by hitting the outside wall. I don't know if he meant to do all that. Caught the grass and everything, just trying to celebrate a bit. But he'll be able to come around and do some burnouts as him and Schmidt get a little comfy on the backstretch. Gibson getting involved. And these guys all giving celebratory little bump slams to Braden Movick, who really put on a show tonight with having to drive up from 21st and play a little different strategies with the tires and everything. But great run for him. Schmidt comes along in second. Will likely take the points lead as far as we know, and Stephen Gibson will round out your podium guys up in third.
So those will be your top 3 that we'll get interviews here for. But Braden Movick, in the meantime, will bring that Miami Vice-themed McDonald's car down to the front straightaway and just burn it down. Now a very impressive win here. Went up and took. It looked like it was going to be William Schmidt's race there in the mid part, but Braden Movick came up there and absolutely took it away from him there on that last run and never looked back. A very impressive win for Braden Movick here as he burns it down on the front straightaway.
Pretty solid burnout too, kind of remnant of Kevin Harvick at Indy, pulling it down through the front stretch there. It's not often you get to see someone do that type of burnout with that much smoke, especially with a lot of the different cars on iRacing. But pretty solid burnout by Braden Movick. You can
That's
see
a talent in its own here as we look at points here. This time, sorry to cut you off, Elliot. Cole Freilich holds a 9-point gap over William Schmidt. Now, I don't believe this factors in the drop week, so this is subject to change. But as they stand right now, oh, it does. I'm getting a note from our producer. It does, in fact, count the drop week. So William Schmidt, 9 points back after being coming in 20 points back. He's got 2 more races, IRP and Auto Club, to make up 9 points on Cole Freilich. And if he continues to run like he has, Elliot, I think he's certainly got a good shot to get it done.
Absolutely. I mean, that's an 11-point game tonight, and it makes you wonder if he wins tonight, how much of a difference that makes. Considering, when they started this race, it was showing that he would have a points lead when Freilich was running 5th. So we'll have to see how the next 2 races go. Obviously, we're at a short track, and know how good both these guys are there. And then and then obviously off to Auto Club, which I know Freilich was a little bit hesitant on, but I know Schmidt was pretty excited for. So we'll have to just see. And Auto Club is pretty dangerous in itself with these cars, so a lot can happen. But we'll pull in William Schmidt, who came runner up tonight. Yeah, William, you put on a really good show. Obviously, Braden came along pretty quick at the end there. But do you think there was anything different that you could have done during that run? I know you had to race Jackson Sims. Do you think anything you could have done different to maybe beat Braden at the end there?
Probably not battle the 45 as hard. I know we were battling pretty hard. It was fun, but it was pretty hard. I think I kind of tore up my tires battling him a bit. So I feel like I might have been able to hold on a little bit longer than what I would have. I know Braden pitted a couple laps after me, so I don't really know how that would have worked out. But I mean, regardless, second's pretty good for the points, so I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, you're showing a 9-point deficit now. Obviously gained 11 tonight, but with the lap sled and the pole and everything, really solid outing to put yourself in a good spot. You get a nice week off, and then you got Lucas Oil and Auto Club. You think you can do enough to gain 9 points over the next 2 races?
It's definitely possible. IRP is a track I'm not super confident at, but Auto Club is a track I'm confident in, so it's going to be really close. I know I've been saying it for almost all my interviews regarding this points battle, but it really is going to be close between Cole and I. IRP isn't a track I'm super confident in, but I guess we'll see when we get there.
Well, you made it really interesting this season, and we're looking forward to the duel that we thought we were going to get between Kendall and Cole, but honestly, the battle that you have brought on through all of this has been really interesting to watch and really exciting. So, looking forward to it. But anyone you want to thank for tonight's stellar run before we get off the air?
Yeah, of course. I want to thank SKS Motorsports. I want to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast, Oates for putting on the league, and as well as Braden. We put on a absolute masterclass of tire saving. I don't know how he managed to do that, but that was a lot of fun. So, congrats to him for the win. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, Schmidt, always a pleasure. Hopefully, we'll get to interview you over the next 2 weeks. But enjoy your week off, and we'll see you soon.
All right, thank you.
And now we bring in our winner on the night, currently doing a Polish victory lap after burning the rubber off of those rear tires there. Braden Movick, first of all, congratulations on your win. Had to go up there and absolutely take it away from the likes of William Schmidt. Take us through that last run there. You pitted a couple laps after him. Did you know were you feeling confident you had the extra tire there to go up and take it away?
Oh, absolutely. Nothing eats tires quite like an old Atlanta Motor Speedway. But, man, this race was really fun. That last run, or like the middle run. So I think I was like fourth. A lot. I was behind Schmidt, Gibson, Jackson Sims, and Kendall. Actually, no, I was in front of Kendall. But, man, Jackson and Gibson, they pitted under one of those yellows. They had like 10 lap fresher tires than both Schmidt and myself, and we were both right there at the end of the run, which was pretty impressive. And I noticed at the end of that run, Schmidt pit first, and I pit the lap after him, and then Kendall pit the lap after me. And I don't know what Kendall did entering pit road, but I somehow came out 3.5 seconds ahead of him, or no, probably 4 seconds ahead of him. So Schmidt and I both decided to just go around, taking it really easy, and yeah, we were clutching and entering the corners throughout the first 20 laps of the run, just to get just try to force an overcut on Kendall, and it really ended up working. We maintained in front of him, and we ended up getting in front of Sims, who pitted like 5 laps later, and then Gibson pitted 8 laps later, and yeah, we ended up getting. I mean, Schmidt got, I believe, 2 laps over Kendall. I got 4 over Kendall. So clutching really turned this race around for, I think, both of us. And we knew if, like, Gibson caught us from, I believe, like 7 seconds back with 8 lap fresher tires over the course of the second run. And then, when I pitted on lap 99, I knew Gibson, and I'm pretty sure Gibson knew there's no way in hell he'd be able to catch me and Schmidt with only 30 something laps if he went like, or with like 26 laps if he went like 8 laps long again. So he short pitted, and yeah, Schmidt and I just were able to kind of take it easy in the first few laps, maintained, and the tires evened out towards the end, and I was able to pull it away.
Yeah, man. I mean, you guys put on an absolute barn burner of a race all the way throughout. And it looked like there was, I mean, at any given point, there were 5 drivers who could win this race on speed. At any given point. And yeah, Steven Gibson with that off strategy. We questioned the running long a little bit, but still netted him a top 3. So it's still a great run from him. But yeah, the story was you and William Schmidt with your pit strategy and your tire saving. A great performance from the both of you. Really putting on a great race for all of us here up in the booth and watching online. This is your second win now after getting one at Dover here that I also called. You really like these tracks that chew up tires, and you really got to manage those rears. What's the secret?
I don't know, man. I mean, because when we went to Kern, that's another track that eats rear tires, and that was my worst performance in I think my 50 plus starts in this league. That's the worst I've ever been. I don't know what I was happening there or what I was doing, but when we get to these high speed, wore out ovals, there's nobody better than me. There's absolutely nobody better. And I think I proved that this is my 4th time going here in OSRL, and this is my 3rd win in a row. And I think I finished 3rd in the race before that. Like in Chicagoland, for example, I've won all 4 trips there. And I think that's the reason why we don't have Chicagoland on the schedule anymore. But yeah, I don't know, something about this car, I'm able to really just control my line and control my pace at a level above like most other drivers. But yeah, I love these places. These places are my favorite types of racetracks of these cars, and it's a shame that they keep dwindling down in the OSRL schedule. I think Oates is trying to put a stop to me on these tracks, but yeah, I mean, I just love these tracks. That's pretty much it. I love it, and my driving style works here.
Well, they might have to take Legacy Atlanta off the schedule too if you're putting in those kind of performances on this one, just like you do Chicagoland. Very, very impressive here. And looking forward on the schedule next week, we've got IRP going short track racing in that one. One you really kind of gotta rip the outside of to maintain pace there. So we'll look for you there. But the week after that is Auto Club. Certainly going to be one where you're going to hang it out there and some high speed racing. How are you feeling about those 2 races coming up?
I'm real confident at both those racetracks. I love both those racetracks. IRP, last time we went there, or not the last time we went there, but last time I raced there, I was able to get it done. But that was with the old ARCA car. But still, I love IRP. I love ripping the wall there. I feel like I'm one of the few that is actually able to make passes on equal tires on the bottom, just because of my throttle control. Again, it's just my driving style. I think my driving style is weird. Like when I'm on the gas, when I get on the gas, specifically these worn out racetracks, I'm only pushing it with my big toe. Like I don't know. That's just the way for me to get the most specific inputs, I guess. But yeah, tracks like IRP, really good with that, and I need redemption at Auto Club. I finished 2nd there, I believe, 3 times, and last time there we were side by side for the win with Brandon Hawken for about 8 laps, and I made one mistake all race, and it was out of 4 on the last lap. It cost me the win, but man, I love Auto Club. Cannot wait to race that with this car.
Well, we can't wait to see you race there, but with this unbridled confidence, looking forward to that one for sure. Before we let you get out of here and go enjoy your win, do you have anybody to thank for your awesome run tonight?
I gotta thank William Schmidt. He is one of my favorite people to race against, and we were in the same voice chat, kind of coordinating our attack together. And gotta thank Tyler Tinsley, Tin Can Sim Racing Designs for making this beautiful paint scheme. And yeah, I got to thank Jonathan Oates and all the other admins for putting on the show. And thank you guys for broadcasting.
Well, you guys put on a great show. It makes it easy to broadcast and send out there to all of those watching on the Split Second Broadcasting Network. So we appreciate you guys as well on track, putting on a great race for all of us. But thanks for talking to us, Braden. Go enjoy your win and have a happy Thanksgiving, man. Congratulations once again.
All right, thank you. 15 wins, wahoo!
And that'll wrap up our interviews for this evening in Atlanta. We'll take one more look at the points before we head out. Elliot, it's a 9-point gap with 2 races left. They're 2 very different races in IRP and Auto Club. What can we look forward to see going forward?
Well, nobody's really had a stranglehold on the short tracks except Joe Armstrong, and he does supposedly come back for IRP. So I don't think either of them really plan on winning. But I know with Schmidt and with Freilich, you really don't know what's going to happen. They're both incredibly quick, but I think after IRP, after the dust settles, you're going to have a brawl, and Auto Club is the best place to settle it. Well, we're in for a very fun couple of weeks with OSRL moving forward.
Absolutely. One more look at the points here. William Schmidt, 9 points back from your leader, Cole Freilich. 2 races to go. You're in for a barn burner, and you'll see it live here on Split Second Broadcasting on Thursday nights. Ross Brockman, final thoughts from a wild, action-packed Atlanta race.
Well, you guys kind of said it there. Like, just to kind of wrap it up, the Movic was able to not just take a little different strategy and wait a couple laps than the other leaders, but also I saw he was one of the fastest on pit road. His pit speed was almost a second faster from one end of pit road to the other. So really just nailed that final run to get the win and take this one from the other drivers that he was racing against. So shout out to him for almost being perfect that final run to get the win.
Absolutely right. A great race. Like I told Braden, there was 5 drivers at any given point between Movic, Schmidt, Gibson, Sims was up there. Before he had his penalty and his issues, Kendall Carpenter had blistering speed as well, showing the way a couple times tonight. So really a full deck of action here in Atlanta, and a great race once again from the OSRL series. That'll just about wrap it up from all of us here at the Split Second Broadcasting Network. This has been the Find Love or Die Trying 200 from the OSRL Premier Series. We will be off next week for Thanksgiving. We hope everybody has a fantastic holiday, and we will be back in 2 weeks for IRP, Indianapolis Raceway Park, for some short track action. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you then. Good night.